You're watching KSL 5 News.
Justice Anthony Kennedy of the Supreme Court has sworn in the newest justice, making the Supreme Court whole again.
Neil Gorsuch restores the court to 9 justices and succeeds the late Justice Antonin Scalia.
Our country is counting on you to be wise, impartial, and fair.
The High Court has some big cases looming that range from religious freedom to gay rights to gun control.
I will never forget that to whom much is given, much will be expected.
A more immediate case coming before the Supreme Court is the challenge to the president's travel ban on people from 6 predominantly Muslim countries. So what influence will Justice Gorsuch have on the courts?
Let's bring in political specialist Ladd Egan, who is with Senator Orrin Hatch here in studio to discuss that and other issues, including Syria. Ladd?
Yeah, Ashley, Dave, a lot to talk about. And Senator, thank you for being here with us tonight. Great to have you.
Well, happy to be with you.
And let's start with the news of the day. It is now Justice Neil Gorsuch. Any regret having to go to that nuclear option to get a Senate confirmation?
No, we had to do that. The Democrats were totally opposed. As you saw, there were 48 Democrats who went against him, and only 3 or 4 who supported what we were trying to do. And he's as good a nominee as I've ever seen. He's just an excellent lawyer, excellent judge, was on our own 10th Circuit Court of Appeals for our area. So, you know, we're very proud of him.
Democrats say they won't forget. What does this mean going forward in terms of changing the rules?
Well, it's been a very tough thing ever since Trump won. They expected Trump to be beaten. They expected Hillary to be president. They expected her to be able to nominate people to the courts, and especially the Supreme Court and the Circuit Courts of Appeals. And they lost, and it's really, really hard for them. And I understand that to a degree, but it's time to quit whimpering and mouthing off about it and start working on these type of things. Having sat through the confirmation hearings, what influence will Mr. Neil Gorsuch have on the court? Well, Gorsuch is a first-rate legal mind. He's very, very smart. He's very honest. He's very conservative, which was held against him by the Democrats. But he'll add a lot to the court. And keep in mind, he's replacing a great conservative in Nino Scalia, who was a close friend of mine. I just mentioned not too long ago with one of your fellow reporters that Nino Scalia came to me when he was nominated to the Supreme Court, and he pulled out a pack of cigarettes and started to light up a cigarette. I said, no, Nino. I said, you can't do that. I said, from here on in, you got to be there 30 years, so you got to quit smoking. So he took the pack of cigarettes out of his pocket, threw it to me, and said, okay. Then he stopped and he said, but that doesn't include cigars, does it? And I started to laugh. But Nino Scalia was a special Supreme Court justice, brilliant. He was effective. He is very humorous. He got along with everybody. And he's going to be greatly missed. But if anybody can replace him, it will be Neil Gorsuch. Gorsuch is a very, very outstanding person. And let's talk about another topic of news of the day, and that is Syria. You and other Republicans had criticized President Obama for not maybe having a clear strategy on Syria. Now with President Trump, do we have a strategy with Syria? When President Obama drew a red line, and it clearly was crossed, he didn't have the guts to do what had to be done to stop it, and that would have stopped probably the killing of these innocent children and families that has occurred. I respect Donald Trump for saying, we're not going to put up with that. And you'll notice the rest of the world, except for the bad guys in the world, have all come behind him on that. He's right. It was not an easy thing for him to do because he doesn't want to get embroiled in the Middle East problems, but you couldn't sit back and see men, women, and children killed just by nastiness and not do something about it. So he did. I think everybody should respect President Trump. He's a doer, I'm telling you. Let's talk about you and an 8th term. Will you run again? Well, I intend to run again. I've said that, and you know, that's 2 years away, so who knows? But the fact is that I do intend to run again, and you know, I'm chairman of the Finance Committee. It's the most powerful committee on Capitol Hill. And we're on the verge of maybe getting health care straightened out, but more importantly even than health care is our whole tax situation nationally and internationally. And this committee has most say on all of that. It has the widest jurisdiction of any committee in the Congress when it comes to money and the economy. And yeah, you know, I fully intend to run. On the other hand, who knows? It's 2 years from now, and you know, I have my detractors. There's no question about that. But
What would keep you from running again?
Well, Elaine, if she is not healthy or something like that, my family, that's number one in my life. Even if they've all been very considerate. They know I'm a very consecrated guy. I work very, very hard. I give it everything I have, and I've had tremendous family support. We have 6 children, 23 grandchildren, and 19 great-grandchildren, and they're all supportive. But my wife has been my principal support, and we're both getting up there. She's one of the greatest women in this world, and I really respect her and love her, and I just hope that her health will hold out.
Mitt Romney, that has made headlines. Is Mitt someone you would want to pass the baton to keep your Senate seat in a very prominent position with a name like Romney?
Sure, because I chatted with Mitt. We had a private luncheon together in downtown hotel in downtown Washington, D.C., and we've gotten together on other occasions. I love Mitt Romney. I think he's a terrific human being. I don't think he wants to run for Senate. But I will say this, I encouraged him to, because Mitt would make a difference in the Senate right off the bat, where and others it would take years and years to really make a very big difference. And his son Josh is one of the finest people in Utah. I fully expect Josh to run for governor in 2020, and I think we couldn't do better. He's a very, very fine man, very successful himself. You know, good family man, just everything you'd want in a governor and, you know, in a political leader. And he doesn't want to be in the Senate, but I think he would consider running for governor, and I hope he does.
Well, you've made headlines with running again, so I'll let you leave it with you, you know, to clarify for all Utahns, an 8th term, is it in your future?
Well, it could be. It's a little early to decide that right now, but I know one thing. I make a real difference for our state, make a real difference for the country. I'm in the positions to make that real difference. And I don't want to let my country down. I don't want to let my folks here in Utah down. And we've got to face some pretty trying things in the future, because there have been some people who have really been out to screw our state, and I'm not about to let that happen. It's just that simple. And I think, you know, my whole reason for running to begin with was to do a job for our state of Utah and for all the people in Utah, for our faith in Utah, for, you know, for the free market system that we engender in Utah. Utah is a perfect illustration of how a state should be run, even though we're 67% owned by government. The fact is, it's a pretty doggone wonderful state, run very, very well. Our current governor's doing a great job. Our legislature does a great job. They get together well, both Democrats and Republicans, and frankly, that's the way a state should be run, and I'm very proud of them. But there's a lot to the federal government, too. The federal government can ruin this state overnight if we don't watch it. And so it's very important to have the strength in the Congress so that they can't do that to us. And I have to say, there's a considerable number of people back there, mainly Democrats, who could care less about Utah.
Senator, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, a lot to talk about. Public lands would always be a topic to follow up with you on. I appreciate you joining with us and for being here on KSL. Dave and Ashley, back to you.
All right, Ladd, thank you.